Questions.
Okay, so the first question today is from Amrita Radhe. And so she says, Hare Krishna, may Srila Maharaj and all assembled Vaishnavas accept my humble obeisances. Maharaj, in your book Sacred Preface, you wrote that some devotees treat Krishna-bhakti as a limb of guru-bhakti, and that delights Krishna. How is Krishna-bhakti practiced as a limb of guru-bhakti? Should we pray to Krishna to help us fulfill the desires of our Gurudev? Is that guru-bhakti?
Well, Guru Bhakti is an anga or limb of the body of Krishna Bhakti. And when Rupa Goswami begins to explain the different lists and explain the different limbs of Bhakti, he begins with Ado Guru Vashraya, taking shelter of the Guru, is the first one he mentions. So he's talking about Krishna Bhakti, and one of the angas or limbs of the body of Krishna Bhakti is Guru Bhakti. And the implication is that Krishna Bhakti flows through Guru Bhakti, even as Guru Bhakti is a limb of Krishna Bhakti. So the point that you're asking, Amrita is asking about, is something that's brought up, I believe, by Jiva Goswami in Bhakti Sandarbha, where he gives the reversal of this, and where he says it's possible to make Krishna Bhakti.
On mówi, że jest możliwe spełnianie.
Hello? Yeah. I could just hear the Polish for a minute from Guru Bhakti. Okay, I guess we're good now. Where Krishna Bhakti becomes the limb of Guru Bhakti. So this is a reversal. And I think that largely, in a sense, this refers to a circumstance or situation in which one lives with the Guru, and one may do personal services and so on and so forth, which perhaps could be consuming, and one's Krishna Bhakti becomes a limb then of the primary focus of Guru Bhakti. And Jiva Goswami says this is very pleasing to Krishna. Now, we all don't live with our Guru, and I would say the younger a Guru is, the less he or she needs any personal assistance and so forth. I try to avoid it as much as possible, but and to take care of myself personally. But I think that in a broader sense, well, let's say this: there are a couple of ways in which we can serve the Guru. One of the ways in which we can serve the Guru is to do what the Guru tells us, which is he tells us, for example, she tells us to chant the holy name, follow certain practices, and so on and so forth, all of which constitute Krishna Bhakti. Limbs of Krishna Bhakti, to embrace different limbs of Krishna Bhakti. That's what he or she teaches. So by doing that, we're serving the Guru. Now, there are things that the Guru does also. He has, for example, or she has her own service to her Guru. And so then there's the possibility of participating in that service, which I would say is more Guru Bhakti than Krishna Bhakti. And so it's possible that even at a distance, we may have the opportunity to participate in and facilitate and assist Sri Guru in his or her service to Guru. And we get requests like that all the time. What service can I do? And this seems to be above and beyond what we've been instructed to do, which constitutes Krishna-bhakti. Everybody wants to have some, not everybody, but many want to have some personal service, something outside of just the normal routine, if you will. Not that it's routine, but practice of Krishna bhakti. So I think that that sentiment, if you will, moves in the direction of what Jiva Goswami is speaking about. And there may be opportunities for that. And then again, there may be an overall just consciousness. A lot of Prabhupada's disciples kind of have that, that consciousness that, well, we don't know Krishna, we're going to serve Prabhupada, and he's going to take us back to Godhead. And it was kind of a simple way of thinking about things, but very beautiful. So I think that overall, that the more that it becomes apparent to us, really, that the way in which, there's no way in which Krishna has appeared before us, or than in the form of Sri Guru. The more that we become aware of that, the more we move in the direction of what Jiva Goswami is speaking about. I'll put it another way. Pujapad Sridhar Maharaj used to say that if you are practicing Krishna bhakti, let's say Harinam, and Krishna appears before you in meditation, and he asks you for some service, then you should tell him, hold on a minute, let me ask my guru. Is this the guy that you've been talking about? He asked me to do this, and so forth. I'll get back to you, you tell your vision of Krishna. So this is, he used to like to make this point to help ground us, if you will, in Guru Seva. So I think that's, also, again, in that direction of what Jiva Goswami is talking about. And it's pleasing to Krishna, very pleasing to Krishna, because Krishna's, if you please Krishna's representative, as Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, yasyat prasada, yasyat bhagavat prasada, yasyat prasada nagati kutopi, then Krishna is pleased. Again, I think there's a specific circumstances in which what Jiva Goswami is talking about is clearly manifest. Although I'll give you a story about that. Once my godbrother Tamal Krishna Maharaj was the personal servant of Prabhupada in Vrindavan, and it was towards the later part of Prabhupada's manifest presence amongst us, and he was kept pretty busy. And he told Prabhupada he's so busy that he couldn't chant 16 rounds, which, Prabhupada could have responded, well, that's guru-bhakti, and it takes precedence over Krishna-bhakti. But the Guru, Prabhupada didn't think like that. He said, well, then sleepless. he said, there's two sides to it. The guru may not think this is a good idea in one sense, personally, although for every other guru it's fine. But for me, I'm not that qualified. You should serve Krishna. But anyway, that's the in circumstances like that. I think that there are examples in the sampradaya of such, but we don't all live in those circumstances where we're presently living in the ashram with the guru and so on and so forth. Still, we like this idea, all of us. I can see many of you like this, just from the looks on your face, this idea. And so there's the spirit of it, I think, that it carries over, and that mood, that ideal, I think is perhaps there's no better way to endear ourselves to Krishna than that, by in our own minds, if you will, making Guru Seva, Krishna-bhakti, an anga of guru-bhakti. How to do that practically, the question kind of borders on that, if not is directly asking about that, and that you have to ask your guru for personal service, Diksha Guru, Siksha Guru, and that's my answer. I hope it helps. I appreciate it.
So the next question is from Vraj Pallavi in Poland.
Okay.
It says, Radhe Radhe, returning once more. Returning once more to the question about the tilak, since I wasn't able to unmute my microphone on Zoom last week, I would like to ask again what you meant when you said that your inner guide told you to change your tilak. I must admit, with a little smile, that at first it sounded almost a bit New Age, like, although I know that wasn't what you meant. In fact, I found this story truly inspiring. If you feel comfortable sharing a little more about this experience, I would be very grateful. For example, at what point in your life did this happen? Were you studying, writing, meditating, or in some other inner state when this insight came? Thank you so much.
Oh, I was putting on tilak. And as I mentioned, it's not something that I'm not, aware of, that as I'm explained with regard to Amrita's question, there's no way that we can endear ourselves more to Krishna than by endearing ourselves to our guru through service. That's very practical. And so I was putting on the Sham Kund Tilak, and as I mentioned, I had a reason for that. But then the inspiration came to me from within. Krishna said, "There's no better way to endear yourself to me than endear yourself to the guru." So I was able to put two and two together and think in the context of putting on the Sham Kund Tilak, that Prabhupada, Pujapad Sridhar Maharaj, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, they all wore gopi-candana tilak. Even Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who was in the Nityananda Paribar, and you'll see in modern day members of the Nityananda Paribar, they've got some dark tilak on, typically not gopi-candana. But Bhaktivinoda always wore a gopi-candana. So I thought I should wear gopi-candana, because this is a way in which I can further identify, if you will, with my guru and my guru parampara. It seems like a simple thing, but it's very profound in my opinion. And so that was the context. My inner guide is Krishna, not some new age idea. So I hope that answers your question.
Yes, the next question
wouldn't be the first time Krishna's spoken to me. Let's put it like that.
The next question is from Prem in Poland, and he says, "Dear Guru Maharaj, Dandavats, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela, Part 1, it is stated, 'Thus the lion-like Lord Chaitanya has appeared in Navadvip. He has the shoulders of a lion, the powers of a lion, and the loud voice of a lion.' The author of Chaitanya Charitamrita has a unique way of describing Lord Chaitanya. I haven't heard such a description before. Could you comment on this description? Thank you."
Well, it's his own poetry, and it's said that the lion's the king of the jungle. So the material world is certainly a jungle of misconception and so forth. And So I think that perhaps he's calling on that idea and likening Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to a lion in terms of his calling out in Sankirtan, loudly broadcasting the Yuga Dharma. And perhaps the squared shoulders of the male lion reminded him of the frame of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I don't think I could say much more than that, and I don't think, as you say, Premdas, that likeness that Krishnadas Kaviraja is drawing on is drawn upon by anyone else. So it seems unique to him, his own unique poetry. I don't know. There are a lot of tigers in Bengal, but I don't know if there's any lions there. But the lion is the male lion is particularly handsome also amongst creatures, and his shoulders are very pronounced. So it's all like that comes to mind. I appreciate the question. Krishnadas Kaviraja Goswami Ki Jai.
The next question is from Braj Sundari.
I think also that he may have said elsewhere that the lion has the power to scare away an elephant, and our desires are like elephant-like, big, large, and so forth. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's dispensation is formidable, therefore, in relation to such. I'm sorry, go ahead. Next question.
Yeah, next question is from Braj Sundari. And she says, in Circle of Friends, page 70, in context of describing Vishrambha in Sakyaras, Guru Maharaj quotes a verse by Jiva Goswami, Nadevo Devam Archayet. If one is not identical with God, one cannot worship him. Could you explain this verse further, please? Does it speak only about the self-realized devotees? And also, in what way would it apply to the followers of Vaidhi Bhakti, unless having the same form as Narayan is the identicality? Also, the Vrajvasis, although more identical with Krishna than anyone else, do not overtly worship him. So does the verse speak more about tattva than the conscious act of worship in this case? Thank you.
Yes, the verse is about tattva in one sense. But the chapter that you're speaking about, of course, from Circle of Friends, which is about Sakya and Sakya Bhava. So in the Sakya Bhava, then that verse and its implication extends into the Bhava. So with regard to, I'll explain that, but with regard to tattva, of course, the idea is, it seems contradictory. You cannot worship Krishna unless you're one with Krishna, the same as him. How can you worship him if you're different from him? If you're the same as him? But this is part of course, the Chintya Beta Veda metaphysic of our sampradaya. And while we emphasize the difference between ourself and Krishna, there are a number of instances in which Jiva Goswami, of course, emphasizes the oneness with Krishna. And it's a oneness in tattva. The two are interpenetrating realities. Our cognitive power is rooted in Krishna's samvit. Our bliss is rooted in his hladini, and so forth, as explained in the Bhagavad-Gita. So there is a sense in which the jiva is one with Bhagavan. All his powers, all the jiva's powers, are completely dependent upon Bhagavan to function and operate, and so forth. So that's one way in which the oneness is emphasized. In another sense, of course, it means that if you want to worship Krishna, real worship or service to Krishna, in the full sense of the term, is performed on the in Advaigyan Tattva, that means that understanding yourself not to be overtly different from Bhagavan as we appear to be in material life. Our identification with the mind-body complex and so forth, which are inert. We are, by contrast, conscious, self-conscious, like Bhagavan. And so we are consciousness. We are not matter. Krishna's consciousness, not matter. So to the extent to which we understand ourself to be, experience ourself to be consciousness, not matter, we're coming to a oneness in identity with Krishna, rather than a difference of arising from misidentification. And that's when in Bhagavad-Bhakti, then, that's when our devotional practice is fully matured, it's fully informed in terms of sambandha, and thus it's the practices. If we can fully express ourselves in practice, the more we're informed, the more our conceptual orientation towards Krishna bhakti is manifest. It takes place manifesting as practical service and so forth. So this is the idea there, that one with Bhagavan, and that Bhagavan is consciousness, we are consciousness. He is Satchidananda, we are Satchidananda. And so this pertains to Bhava Bhakti and also Prema Bhakti, and theoretically it pertains also to Sadhana Bhakti. That we understand that theoretically, and so we strive through our practice to distance ourselves with some effort from material identification when the samskars arise and weigh in on us and trying to distract us. We try to identify them as objects rather than the subject, ourself being the subject, different from those samskars, as I said last week. And we remember Krishna's pastimes, slaying different demons, and identify those anarthas with the demons and pray to Krishna that they'll be overcome and so forth. This is effort in bhakti. So it's an effort to distance ourselves from the unlikeness of matter that I'm identified with, which is unlike Krishna. So this is one sense. And so yes, in terms of tattva. But of course, when we speak of Sakyabhava, then, and that's where you're taking the quote from, it also pertains to bhava, because in Sakyabhava there's a oneness in emotion with Krishna. In other words, Krishna experiences the same emotion as his friends. Krishna doesn't experience the same emotion as his parents when his parents love him, or when his servants serve him. The equality is not there, and it's a different experience. They're not entirely on the same page experientially. Nothing wrong with them, but that's a different type of bhava. And parents love their children in a certain way, and children love the parents back in their experiences. The children's experience is not parental, right? But in Sakiras, the Krishna is expressing friendship, and he's feeling friendship back. So this is a unique quality of Sakirasa. And so the aphorism that you cited, aside from pertaining largely in a broad sense to tattva, with regard to Sakirasa, also pertains to bhava. Now, that's why there's pranay, and pranay is central, to Sakirasa. When you go to Madhurya Rasa, of course, now that there's also pranay. So in Madhurya Rasa, what the lover and the beloved experience, it's the same. But there's a difference there also. In the Braj Leela, there's a difference that we don't find in Sakya Rasa. So what is the difference? The difference is in quantity, not in quality. The quality is the same, but the quantity is different. And we're all here because of that. That's why we're here, because of the difference in quantity. In other words, Radha and Krishna both are experiencing the same romantic emotions and feelings. But Krishna realizes that the gopis' feelings and Radha's feelings in particular exceed his, not in quality, but in quantity. And so being a rasika, a taster of rasa, Krishna wants to taste that, increase the quantity. And this is what gives birth to Gaur Leela. And here we are. So we're thankful for that difference. But Sakya Rasa is unique in that this oneness in Bhav applies wholly to it. And because of that, going back to Sakya Bhav for a moment, at the end of his discourse on Sakya Bhava in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Rupa Goswami makes a statement. Although he himself presents in a hierarchical structure, Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, Madhurya. At the end of the chapter on Sakya, he says, because of this equality that I'm speaking about in Sakya Bhav that is unique, then some reason that Sakya Bhav amongst the three, Dasya, Sakya, and Vatsalya, that are called Sambandha Rupa Bhakti, that Sakya Bhakti is the best. He doesn't disagree. Although he gives his hierarchy different, and there's a reason for that. Jiva Goswami, in contrast, in Bhakti Sandarbha, his order is Shanta, Dasya, Vatsalya, Sakya, Madhurya. And then at the end he says, and the Madhurya is in Braj is tinged with Sakya. So he had some affinity for Sakya Ras, Jiva Goswami. From his childhood he was a worshipper of Krishna and Balarama. So it applies into both the bhava and tattva in Sakya Bhava, but in a broad sense, it's speaking about tattva. Again, to go back to the tattva for a moment, if you want to enter the fire, you have to be fire. Otherwise, you get burned. Something like that. So if you want to go into Krishna Loka with your shoes on, you will go. You'll be thrown out. You have to go in. On Goloka's terms, right? You have to become consciousness or realize that you have to go in naked. The Bhagavatam, makes us naked, and then decorates us, and then ornaments us at the same time. First, so in the context of ornamentation, there needs to be a disrobing of the present condition. Hope that helps. What else?
Then the next question's from Gunjan Sharma. She says, Pranam, dear Guru Maharaj. My question is connected to three types of internal Shakti of Sri Krishna. Kindly correct my understanding in this area. My question is, if hladini-shakti personified is Sri Radha, sandhini-shakti personified is Sri Balaram, then who is personification of samvit-shakti? Thank you.
Yes, it is said that clearly that Radharani is the presiding deity of the sandhini-shaktis, Mahabhav Swarupini. And Baladev, of course, he in Goloka and through his expansion as Mul Sankarshan and Mahasankarshan in Vaikuntha, Mul Sankarshan in Mathura and Dwarka, and Mahasankarshan in Vaikuntha, they expand the domain, the geography, sacred geography, right? The forms, the landscape, and so forth. And the incarnation of Mahasankarshan, the original avatar, Mahavishnu, well, it's got it expands the domain of the material existence. So, for this reason, we can make a philosophical conjecture that Baladev presides over Sandhini. I don't know if I've never found a verse to say that, but that's how that conclusion is arrived at. Your question then is about this samvit-shakti, means the cognitive potency of Bhagavan. And there's two ways in which this is answered. One is that Vasudeva is the deity presiding over samvit, Vasudeva, which means Krishna. But the other answer is Yogamaya. So the first answer pertains to everywhere outside of Braj. The second answer, if it's to be viable, pertains only to Braj. What does it mean? That Yogamaya is very operative there, overtly, right? Such that Krishna's divinity is covered, and he's not seen to be, or known, some bit known to be, the personality of Godhead. In Vaikuntha, Narayan is seen as such. He's known as such. Yogamaya is present, but not as prominently. Her prominence is in Braj, where the knowing factor, if you will, the cognitive factor that reveals Krishna's divinity is covered over. But that covering then, and that unknowing caused by Yogamaya, constitutes the fullest knowing. Because to know one is to love one. To know you is to love you, something like that. It's an old song from the 50s, maybe late 50s. So in love, bhakti, of course, is said to be in Bhagavad-Gita, the king of knowledge. Krishna says, Raja Vidyam, Raja Kuyam. Now, in the 9th chapter, I'm going to tell you the king of knowledge and the king of secrets. And what is it? Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mamnamaskru. Well, it doesn't look like the king of knowledge or the secret of secrets, but it is what it is. What is it? Be my devotee. Offer pranam to me. Fix your mind on me. This is it. That's it. That's the end of all knowledge. It's not a complicated thing. So bhakti is, in one sense, a kind of knowledge. Baladev Vidyabhushan speaks like this in his writings. Obviously, it is. It's a form of enlightenment, knowing, right? So the unknowing, that I love him, and the love is so powerful that his divinity is covered by that. This is an unknowing that constitutes the fullest measure of knowing. Just like I said before, we can look at the Aishvarya, examples of Aishvarya, majesty manifesting in Vrindavan. let's say Krishna in the Prakat Lila expands. He despite all of the rope in the village tied together, it cannot. It's always 2 inches too short to tie him up. What does that mean? That means that everything is inside of him. Nothing is outside of him. That's like a measure of Aishvarya. Of course, Yashoda could not take the Aishvarya seriously, and Krishna caved ultimately and allowed her to tie him up with just a ribbon from her hair, which she started with. There's an example, perhaps the most prominent example. Well, there are other examples. There's lifting of Govardhan Hill. There's the Aishvarya. But we find Krishna's friends are holding the hill up with their own sticks, thinking, he's going to need some help with this. They ask him, change hands, from your left hand to so that we can massage your left hand. Put it on Subal's hand for a while. They're thinking. So although the Aishvarya is prominent manifestation, it's obscured by the prem, or the Brahma Vimohan Lila is very powerful manifestation of Aishvarya, maybe perhaps the most overtly powerful manifestation in Braj. But beyond those manifestations of Aishvarya is the prem that overrides them. That is the fullest measure of Aishvarya. That prem is the fullest measure of Aishvarya. The very sweetness is itself the Aishvarya. Because Krishna shows in the rasa dance, Krishna manifests as in the Basant Rasa Lila of Jayadev. Krishna manifested as Narayan, Aishvarya. And the gopis paid obeisances and said, can you tell us where Krishna is? And so forth. So their prem, their love, their ignorance of his divinity overrides the manifestation, overt manifestation of his divinity, such that we say that prem itself is the fullest measure of Aishvarya. That's extraordinary. Think about that. He's the Supreme Personality of God, and he's showing it in an overt way, and it has no effect on them. It has no power over them to make them pay obeisances and step back. In fact, it causes that Aishvarya to collapse. It manifests a little bit, then it forces it to collapse. So their love, their divine ignorance, which is orchestrated by Yoga Maya, is the fullest measure of knowledge. So therefore, we can say that Yoga Maya is the presiding deity of Samvit in Braj. Or outside of that, Vasudev. Vasudev means Krishna, but he's known to be Vasudev. Vasudev Sarvamiti. To know Vasudev is to know everything, is the idea. So I hope that helps. What else?
The next question is from Sajan.
Sajanji.
Dandavats Maharaj. So, same here. Thank you so much. So tomorrow being Gita Jayanti, I had a question, well, not so much a question, but just like looking for some of your perhaps comments or feedback, if you have some, regarding Srila Prabhupada's mentioning in his discourse about, it's from Honolulu, January of 1974. One devotee asks Prabhupada, how can one know whether he'll be going back to Godhead in this lifetime? And Srila Prabhupada says, yes, believe in Krishna. He gives his word. Janma karma Chame
Chame
Divyam.
Divyam.
Yes, Yo Janati Tattvata. And then Prabhupada goes on to say, anyone who understands me in truth, he doesn't accept any more material body. He comes to me. That's it. The guarantee is there. So you try to understand Krishna. And it goes on, of course, further. So I was wondering, of course, well, I mean, like on a personal note, when I first joined the Prabhupada's mission in August of '76, it was a very strong kind of impetus, hearing that kind of transmission from Srila Prabhupada with that kind of encouragement but then later, of course, naturally, over the course of time, we started hearing some other things like, and even from Srila Prabhupada himself, that perhaps one may have to take birth again in the material world in Krishna's pastimes first. So just one more birth in the material world, but then gradually further on in time, we started hearing, well, no, actually, you'll have to take birth in Navadvip first, and then, in the material world, in Vrindavan, and on and on and on like that. So I just wondered if you had some particular. Oh, so it came to me. It just kind of came to me from within that, well, because in the Bhagavad-Gita, Krishna says a person is composed of their faith. And he goes into so much detail with Arjuna in the end of chapter 3 about how desire plays such an important part of what one's next experience, or even if it's dreamlike temporary experience of a relative world, could potentially be if their desires are strong enough and their identification is strong enough in a particular way. So it just kind of came to me that if somebody has a very strong desire to take birth again in the material world, for example, to assist either their guru or the whatever acharyas might be present in the world at that time with the propagation of Krishna consciousness, then that may happen. Or if someone has a very strong desire to leave the material world after the present birth, that could happen. So again, I just wanted to kind of check in with you about these things.
Thank you. Well, I think that Prabhupada often expressed his own sensibilities and projected them onto us, even as he himself, in other words, he was determined, in his own words, to go back to Godhead in this lifetime. So why not? Of course, that didn't take into consideration the fact that he also said, in my previous life, I was a doctor in Wantita. I never committed any sin. He cites repeatedly the Bhagavad-Gita 6th chapter where Krishna says, one who has practiced but not perfected himself, but very near perfection, takes birth in a Vaishnava family and picks up where they left off and so forth. This is my situation, he said. He described himself as such. He's showing both things if you look carefully. He had the determination in his own estimation that in this lifetime I will go back to Godhead. So why not? And then, but if you look carefully again, he also considered that it wasn't that he had previous lifetimes of practice and so forth. So I think that looking at the whole picture is important, sobering, and so forth. But we were young, and when he would say those things, we took it like that, and it served us very well. It served us very well. Determined not to take birth again, and applying ourselves in practice with that in mind, as much as that's a negative impetus. Negative impetus has its value. The positive impetus, of course, is to enter into Krishna Lila in a particular bhava and so forth. But I would say that to a large extent, in the early days of Prabhupada's mission, the impetus for most devotees was not to take birth again in this.
Sure.
Excuse me. Krishna.
Bless
So,
you.
thank you. I'm blessed by all of your association, but yeah. So again, if you look at the whole picture, then you have good reason to believe it could take more than one lifetime, if you will. Sometimes I've been asked, can you go back to God in one lifetime? And I said, in one lifetime, yes. Question is, which one? Which one?
Right.
And the answer is the one in which that no longer becomes a question. Because
Right.
because Mama Janmani Janmanishvare, Bhavatad Bhakti Rahoita Kitoi. Having attained ruchi in bhakti, one is not concerned with that. One's only concerned with that I may have birth after birth, that I may have opportunity for bhakti. Nadanam najanam nasundarim kabitam bha. No other desire, the desire that all pertains to the world, no longer has any charm for me. I'm charmed only by bhakti. And so Mahaprabhu prays like this. In that lifetime, then surely when it no longer becomes an issue, if you will. So there's some ways to think about it. But yes, yam yam vyapi smaram bhavam tyajate ante kalevaram. Tam tamevati kunte asaratat bhava bhavita. According to your bhava, according to your sensibility, according to your desire, and your conscious preoccupation, Krishna says, at the time of death, which will be determined by your conscious preoccupation throughout your life, that will determine your next birth. So it could be any number of births, right? How you die, that determines how well you've lived. What else?
I had a follow-up. Lord Chaitanya, Lord Chaitanya's prayer. I think it's Lord Chaitanya's prayer that I just desire that I get the association of devotees birth after birth. Send me wherever you'd like, whether it's the hellish planets or the heavenly planets. Just give me association of devotees. I don't know the exact prayer, but
yes. Yeah, Bhaktivinoda prays like that. Many devotees have prayed like that. It's the same idea that we hear about in the Shikshastakam verse that I cited, right? I'd rather become, I think Bhaktivinoda puts it like that, I'd rather become an ant or something like that in the association of devotees than a Brahma without such association. So the value of that sadhu sangha is emphasized there. Thank you for bringing that up. What else?
So also connected to Gita Jayanti, Guru Maharaj, Krishna Kanaya was asking if maybe you'd like to say some warming words about Gita Jayanti and what your plans are.
Well, my plans are to tell everybody that Krishna Kanaya is has organized a Gita Jayanti Zoom call. I think it is. Is it a Zoom call? Right?
Yeah.
So
Be the same details as this call.
Yes, I would encourage everybody to participate in that, at least sometime during the day as the Gita is being recited. I think she's very good at that every year. And again, this year we're reminded by her, so we're blessed in that regard. But it is a great text, the Bhagavad-Gita. It amongst the sacred texts of the Hindus, if you will, and the Vaishnavas within the broader label of Hinduism, the theistic Vedantins, it was not typically held that any particular book amongst all their sacred text was something that was analogous to the Christian Bible, the one book, the Bible, and everything is here and so forth. But when the Christians came to India, missionaries and so forth and so on, then this idea surfaced from the Hindus. Well, if we have a book too. It's called the Song of God. You call it the Word of God. We call it the Song of God, and it's the Bhagavad-Gita. That's how historically, in the 18th, 19th century, the Bhagavad-Gita became like the Bible of Hinduism, if you will. Of course, it is also referred to as Gita Upanishad. The Upanishads are thought to be spoken or unspoken, not human, but emanating from the breath of God. Because Krishna is the supreme Godhead, and he spoke the Gita that's emanated from his breath, so it's considered to be an Upanishad in that sense. And arguably the best of them. So there is good reason for thinking of the Gita in that way. Prabhupada used to kind of, I refer to it as the Gita, its sequel being the Bhagavatam. So these two, they go together. One, the Gita, leads to the other, the Bhagavatam. Prabhupada called the Gita the civilization of spiritual intellect. And the Bhagavatam, the civilization of the soul proper itself. So, and the opportunity to participate in the ecstatic rapture of the different rasas and so forth presented in the Bhagavatam as it is. But without the Gita, then the teachings of the Gita, they're incorporated in the Bhagavatam, but the Gita, they're drawn out, so to speak, and emphasized in a particular way that it becomes very useful to study the Gita prior to the Bhagavatam. So, the virtues of Bhagavad Gita, who can estimate them? There was the Vice President of the United States recently made a statement that his wife is a Hindu from a Brahmin family, and he made a statement at some kind of a public setting amongst Christians. He himself is converted to Catholicism, from what I don't know. But he made the statement that he hoped his wife would convert to Catholicism as well. And so my comment was, well, he believes in the Bible and he believes in the soul, but the Bible doesn't tell us anything about what the soul is. So suggested reading Bhagavad Gita. Teach your children well. This was my statement. So you want to look at it carefully. If the soul is central to spirituality, which I believe it is in Christianity, they would do well, the Christians, to pick up the sequel to the Bible, the Bhagavad Gita. And there's no, it's said, what profiteth a man if he gains the whole world, loses his soul? There's a couple of statements like that, but what is the soul? What is it? Now, what Christians have done is they've drawn from Plato, from Aristotle, from other Greek thinkers about what a soul is, incorporated that into their Catholicism or their form of Christianity. I hate to say it, but boy, there sure is a big missing link there. that had to be incorporated from outside when everything is in the Word of God, the Bible. There's something important that seems to have been left out. So we're perfectly willing to fill in and assist, encourage you in your Christianity. No problem. With the help of some knowledge about what the soul is, so that you don't have to go to the Greeks and misconstrue the soul to be the mental, emotional component of the body-mind complex, which is material. It's a category error there. So it was a big mistake, in my opinion, on the part of the Christians to draw from the Greeks thinkers. When you get to Plato, Neoplatonism, then it becomes it's basically kind of a 101 of Vedanta. So good enough. It's something there. But Neoplatonism is Platonism influenced by India. And the Bhagavad-Gita, Dijai. We're all Hindus. Everyone's a Hindu. Some know it and some do not. That's all there is to it. What else?
So there's a question from Vaishnava Pati, and he says, Dandavats Guru Maharaj, can you share some words for the Sankirtan marathon that begins tomorrow?
I would say Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. May it be victorious. Citing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu throughout the land. I think Vaishnavapati is from Chile, and he's very intent on and absorbed in circulating books throughout Chile and Latin America. So it was customary in the days of early ISKCON to have a Christmas marathon. In fact, it happened spontaneously. I was there in Los Angeles, and 3 days prior to Christmas, well, it became so busy at the shopping centers and all where we were distributing books that we thought to stay out. We were spontaneously inspired to stay out longer, and the number of books that were distributed were so much exceeded, previous days and times and years and so forth, that it warranted a letter to Prabhupada. So my godbrother was very much engaged in organizing book distribution in Los Angeles or New Dwarka, which was Prabhupada's capital, or what would he call it? His his main place in the United States.
World headquarters.
World headquarters. There you go. Yes. So he wrote to Prabhupada and gave the numbers of the books distributed and so forth. And I think I probably distributed more than anybody, so I was mentioned. And so Prabhupada wrote back, and he was very pleased. He said, very pleased to hear that. It was astounding for him to think that so many of his books had been distributed. He thought that people were just like grabbing them up, they just like were attracted to Krishna and so forth. It was a little bit more of our expertise in trying to, I think you might like this book, it's, you take a picture from the book and then talk about it, and without going into depth, in a friendly way, sell them a book. Of course, we used to have philosophical conversations as well with people, but at any rate, Prabhupada was very pleased with that, and he wrote back, it's very astounding that you sold so many books, and so on and so forth. And he said, and the Tripurari Das has sold so many books, and then he made an asterisk after that, and then at the bottom he put in his own handwriting. He said, but you should be sure that he's always reading the books also, not just distributing them, which of course I was. And then I took that much more to heart. I became known as the most well-read devotee at one time in ISKCON. So read the books that you distribute. That will give you the inspiration to distribute them. Try to understand the content and how fortunate you are to be in touch with this Dibbigan, divine knowledge. And then out of exuberance and in a celebratory mood of your own good fortune, then in the spirit of Nityananda Prabhu, bring the good tidings to others. What is this song? Nitai. Anyway, yeah. What is the song of Bhakti Vinod? Set up a shop for your faith only. He's distributing the holy name. Kodanitai, Kodanitai. All right, so that takes us to the end of our session today. So I hope to be with you next week and weeks thereafter. Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Gaur Premanande. Haribol.
Haribol. Sri Guru Maharaj ki jai. So there's a few announcements today, if everybody would like to stay on for a second. So as Guru Maharaj mentioned, tomorrow Krishna Kanai will be hosting Gita Jayanti. So there will be a reading of the Gita all the way through. So it'll start at midday Eastern time, which I believe is 9 a.m. Pacific time and 11 a.m. Central time, and then 6 o'clock in the evening for devotees in Europe and 5 in the UK. So yeah, so it'll be the same login as the Sunday call. And then I just saw there in the comments, Shamdasi just reminding everybody, she also has a book club every Sunday for the Swami call. So if anybody who's not part of that would like to join, you can contact Shamdasi or get in touch with us. We can put you in touch. And then finally, Chandramukhi, also she has something she would like to share. You're there, Chandramukhi. You have to go in the English. Go. Oh. Lalita, you're saying you can't hear it. Maybe you need to go on the English channel if you're not already on the English channel.
I also cannot hear.
Thank you, sorted. Sorry, Hare Krishna.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't hear anything. Whatever, it's not coming through. Whoever's talking.
I think everybody on the English channel can hear you, but I'm thinking the others.
I'm on the English channel. I
Oh,
can't
you're on
hear.
the English channel. Oh, I'm not sure then. So can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. So Chandramukhi was sharing. I'll try to remember what I remember, just to pass it on. But yeah, so so just remind me the date. Sorry, Chandramukhi. Okay, so from March 16th to the March 23rd, Guru Maharaj will be going to Chile, and there'll be a nice festival there. And so she wanted to share. So anybody, if they'd like to come, there's going to be a nice festival. We're also Atulananda Maharaj will have his Vyasa Puja there, and it'll be a very special occasion because he's not his health is not very well at the moment.
Maybe maybe they could post the address and location where to fly into.
Yeah, so she's gonna. Okay. So one second, Chandramukhi. Just for those, I'm doing the reversal now. So she was just saying that she's going to put her phone number in the chat here, and so if you'd like to get in touch with her, Chandramukhi, she'll be able to give the details in terms of flights and arrangements, that kind of stuff. And she's also put PayPal there if anybody would like to make a donation to help cover the costs. All these festivals, they always it's always very useful to have help with the funds and that kind of stuff. Sorry, go ahead. Mm.
Oh, well, still can't hear.
Yeah. Okay, and so she was just sharing that also because so Guru Maharaj can fly a little more comfortably. They're looking into premium economy flights because it just gives some more space for the long flights. And so Guru Maharaj, when he's flown like that before, it's made a huge difference in terms of his travel and being a little less wiped out as well. You know, because it can take its toll on the body, as I'm sure you're all aware. You're on the plane for a long time. And so any donations also will be able to help with that because at the moment the cost of that flight is a little beyond their budget. So if we can all pitch in something, even as a little goes a long way when it all kind of comes together, doesn't it? So so again, her PayPal, Chandramukhi's PayPal is there in the chat. Anybody can copy and paste it, and also her phone number. So thanks, Chandramukhi. So if anybody like any more details, either contact Chandramukhi or let me know. I can put you in touch with her. We hope you have a lovely week. And
I think the number's wrong.
See you tomorrow.
The number's got an extra, her phone number has an extra digit in it. It's 569-646-8471 and then another 8. So there's one digit.
I think.
Oh, it's Chilean. Okay.
Chilean, yeah. So it's the Chilean code, I think, is the +5.
Oh, +5. Chilean. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Thank you.
No problem. So I'll keep the call just going a little second longer, just in case anyone's taking down the details from the chat. Otherwise, we'll see you next week.
Thank you, Madan Mohan. Hare Krishna. See you tomorrow. Nice. Yeah, if anybody has questions about tomorrow, it's just going to be like the last year's. It's going to take around 3 hours, and we're going to read from Prabhupada's Gita and also from Guru Maharaja's Gita, whatever you feel like. It's just basically very, very free. So just come. You can just also listen. It's just going to be lovely. And it's going to be a Kadashi also. And Sadhu Sangha is always great. And as Guru Maharaj said, we should do something for our spiritual intellect. So that's a good opportunity tomorrow. Nice. So see you tomorrow, I hope.
Wonderful. Thanks, Krishna. Good night.